Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are tackling one of the most exciting, yet maybe a little intimidating aspects of visiting Tokyo. We're talking about navigating that massive transit system to reach one of the absolute coolest neighborhoods in the city. If you're planning a trip right now, Shimokitazawa is probably sitting right at the top of your list, and honestly, for very good reason. But let's be real for a second here. Tokyo's train network? It's legendary. It's this massive, sprawling web of overlapping colored lines, a bunch of different operator companies, and these endless underground complexes that feel like mazes. It can definitely be more than a little daunting to figure out your route, right? So if you're looking to check out Tokyo's bohemian capital of vintage clothing, indie music, and just amazing curry, you need a crystal clear answer to a very simple question. How exactly do you get to Shimokitazawa? Okay, let's dive into this because I actually have some fantastic news for you right off the bat. Unlike some of those hidden gem neighborhoods around the world that require this super complicated mix of subway lines, a confusing bus schedule, and then like a 20-minute hike up a hill, reaching Shimokitazawa is incredibly straightforward. No buses, no long walks. It's phenomenally accessible directly by train, with two major railway lines that will literally drop you right smack in the middle of all the action. So here is our travel itinerary for today's explainer. First, we'll start off from the major hubs. Then we'll cover what to do if you're arriving straight from the airports, break down the logistics of fares and IC cards, and finally, we'll talk about navigating those station exits. Let's get moving. Section 1. Starting from major hubs, Shibuya and Shinjuku. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. These two transit giants, Shibuya and Shinjuku, are the absolute foundation of your journey. Why? Because from most parts of central Tokyo, you're just going to ride to one of them first. Look at how fast this is. From Shibuya on the Keio Inokashira line, you're looking at a mere 3 to 5 minutes of travel time. From Shinjuku on the Odakyu line, just 7 to 9 minutes. Even if you're starting from a bit further out west in Kichijoji, it's only about a 12-minute ride. It is a crazy fast, inexpensive hop from wherever you're already exploring in the city. Let's break down that Shibuya route first. It takes about 4 minutes, and the beauty of this route is just its pure simplicity. At Shibuya, both the local and the express services on the Keio Inokashira line stop at Shimokitazawa. That means literally any train heading toward Kichijoji works perfectly for you. Just remember one absolutely crucial detail to save yourself some wandering. The Keio Inokashira line has its own dedicated gates. They're completely separate from the massive JR line maze, so keep your eyes up and follow the specific signs for the Keio Inokashira line when you're inside Shibuya Station. Now, heading out from Shinjuku is also remarkably fast, usually taking around 8 minutes or so, but there's a slight catch you need to be aware of here. So the crucial point is you absolutely must pay attention to the train type you are boarding. On the Odakyu line out of Shinjuku, most services do stop at Shimokitazawa. You are totally safe getting on a local, a semi-express, or a standard express train heading toward Odawara or Fujisawa. However, be completely sure to skip the fastest trains. This includes the famous Romance Car Limited Express and certain rapid expresses. If you accidentally jump on one of those, they skip the station entirely and you're going to end up way out in the suburbs before you even have a chance to get off. Section 2. Arriving from the airports, the two-part trip. So a lot of you might want to head straight to Shimokitazawa the second you land. Since there's no direct train or bus service from either airport, you really just have to treat this as an easy two-part process. First step, take your preferred train or limited stop bus from the airport, whether that's Haneda or Narita, straight into a central hub like Shibuya or Shinjuku. Next step, just transfer at that hub and take that exact same one short hop train ride we just talked about, right into Shimokitazawa. Seriously, treat it less like a massive, exhausting journey and more like a simple little extension of your initial airport transfer. Actually, a quick practical tip for you before we move on. If you're hauling large suitcases straight off a long international flight, intentionally give yourself some extra time. Both the trains making that short hop and the narrow little lanes immediately outside Shimokitazawa Station are incredibly busy and they're just not built to easily accommodate massive luggage. So take a breath, pace yourself, and whatever you do, don't rush the transfer. Section 3. Fares and IC cards. Paying for your ride. Okay, I really want to emphasize this number for a second. 140 to roughly 170 yen. That is incredibly cheap. We are talking about a fraction of the cost of transit in pretty much any other major global city. I think it perfectly highlights just how affordable and accessible this quick hop from the major hubs truly is. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how simple the payment actually is. The absolute easiest way to handle that 140 or 170 yen fare without wasting precious time fumbling at ticket machines is by just tapping a Suica or Pasmo IC card right at the gates. No paper tickets are required at all, unless, of course, you're strictly paying in cash. And I want to explicitly point out that final tip right there. Skip the day passes. Because this specific trip is so unbelievably cheap, buying a comprehensive day pass just to get here is absolutely not worth your money. Stick to the IC cards for sure. Section 4. Navigating the station exits. Choose your destination. Let's move to and see how this builds into your actual visit. You've swiped your card, you've taken the super fast ride, and you've finally arrived at the newly rebuilt underground Shimokitazawa Station. The station has a few main exit directions, and picking one really just depends on what kind of vibe you're chasing. If your goal is racks of retro clothing and incredible spices, head for the south or west exits. That's where the densest vintage lanes and the best curry counters are located. If you want to check out the trendy new redevelopment projects like Reload, Bonus Track, or Mekon, you'll want to use the exits along the old railway lines. And if you're arriving in the evening for Shimokitazawa's famous indie rock scene, aim for the off-the-tracks exits to find all the live houses and bars. But hey, if you're suddenly feeling a little bit of travel anxiety about picking the wrong path out of a busy underground station, please don't worry. I want to read this perfect quote from vintage and shopping editor Elise Brandt. She says, "Do not overthink the exit. Surface, get your bearings at the first corner, and just start walking. The neighborhood is small enough that getting a little lost is half the fun." And you know what? She's absolutely right. The entire area is wonderfully compact. A wrong guess on an exit only costs you a couple of minutes of walking, at most. Nothing is far apart here. So, you have your travel itinerary. You know the absolute best routes from the major hubs. You know exactly which Odakyu trains to avoid. You know how to easily pay your fare with an IC card. And you know not to stress about those station exits. The neighborhood is literally waiting for you, just a few quick minutes down the tracks. The only thing left for you to decide today is this. Which corner of Shimokitazawa will you discover first? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious and happy exploring.